This is KGW News at Sunrise.
I will do, at this point, really anything that will keep our kids in schools.
Portland Public Schools is letting families choose to take part in a free COVID testing program. It's one of our top stories this morning with an explanation of how it works and more reaction from parents.
Also, a nudge in the right direction. Maybe head east of Portland if you're trying to start a restaurant. This morning, how the city of Troutdale is helping new business owners save on startup costs. Plus,
I didn't think I'd get $1,000. You know? And look what happened. Famous.
Famous! He's a Navy veteran known for helping people with his TikTok posts. Now his followers are supporting him. A great story that we have coming up for you this morning at 5:15.
look at that little scooter all decked out in the American flag. I do too.
Wow, when's the last time a news story? I did this. I'm like, what? I gotta hear this story.
You kind of leaned over the desk. Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. This is the last full day of summer, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and it's going out with a bang in terms of sunshine and warm temperatures. Let's get you going. We're not really expecting any fog this morning, so for the most part, you'll be waking up to a clear blue sky once the sun pops. 51 Forest Grove, right? Forest Grove, 47 out in Hillsborough. Gresham a little bit warmer. East winds are expected to eventually come out of the gorge this afternoon and blow to about 25 miles per hour. Good morning, Salem. 52 is your number. So to the bus stop we go. A sunny day, 52 in the morning on average here in the city. 72, already fairly warm for lunch and recess. And then when the kids get out of school, we will be in the 80s.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Thank you, Rod. Well, starting this week, students in Portland Public Schools can opt in to get free COVID testing. KGW's Christine Pitawanich has more on how it'll work.
Starting this week, Portland parents will begin hearing from their school principals, asking if they'd like to sign a consent form and opt in to free COVID-19 screen testing.
My name is Rochelle Chase Miller. I have two kids. One is a third grader in PPS, and my youngest is in preschool.
In-person school for her third grader Leo has been going well, but that's not to say she isn't worried about COVID or the Delta variant. Plus, neither of her kids are old enough to get the vaccine.
Out of my two kids, obviously worried for both of them, but more concerned about my oldest. He has cerebral palsy and asthma, and I'll feel better knowing, what his status is.
That's why she's planning to opt in to Portland Public Schools' free COVID-19 screen testing.
I think it is a really useful tool. I actually wish that it was an opt-out situation.
Here's how it'll work. Each week, kids that have opted in will get a test kit. They'll take it home, collect a spit sample, then bring it back to school the next day. That sample then goes to OHSU for processing. Families will have results within 48 hours. Mom, Catherine Schmidt, intends to opt in as well.
And I have two daughters. Merritt is 10 and is in 5th grade, and Ellery is 13 and is in 8th grade. I will do, at this point, really anything that will keep our kids in schools.
Schmidt's concern that her 10-year-old isn't vaccinated, and also her older daughter's school environment.
The middle schools are certainly more crowded and there's more movement from class to class. So I think that's been something to give us a little bit more of a pause. You can't really test kids, or at least a non-vaccinated child, too many times, in my opinion.
I hope that other parents continue to think not just about their children, but the children that they share space with, and take care of each other.
To be tested, kids don't have to be showing symptoms. At this point, the district plans to prioritize grades K through 5 because kids at that age still can't get the vaccine. After that, middle and high schoolers will be the focus. Christine Pitawanich, KGW News.
Well, that is a perfect segue into our Sunrise poll this morning. If your school offered free COVID testing in your district, would your family opt in? So far, most of you can see it there. More than 75% say yes, you would. You can weigh in this morning by searching KGW Sunrise on Twitter. The poll is pinned right to the top of the page, and we will be checking in on your answers all throughout this morning.
New this morning, Johnson & Johnson has released information about its COVID vaccine. So from the time it first became available up until now, the drug company says it's been 79% effective against infection and 81% effective against hospitalization. And those numbers have held steady even with the rise of the Delta variant. Johnson & Johnson also says getting a booster shot after 2 months produces even better numbers, with protection rates jumping at that point to 94%. And on the heels of that news, we now bring you the latest from Pfizer, which says its vaccine is both safe and effective for kids 5 to 11.
Now Pfizer plans to apply for emergency use by the end of the month. It still has a few more steps before getting FDA and CDC approval for children. We talked to Dr. Wendy Hassan about this. She works at Randall Children's Hospital, and she's also a parent. She says she wishes more people would trust doctors when it comes to the vaccine and follow their lead.
I will tell you that, I'm going to look at this data very, very closely, but if this data, it shows that it's safe, which is what I anticipate, I will be the first in line to vaccinate my own child.
If the vetting and approval process goes through, the Pfizer vaccine could be available for kids in late October.
President Biden says fully vaccinated visitors from other countries will soon be allowed into the U.S. The president made that announcement yesterday, saying that travel restrictions will ease starting in November. Travelers will still need proof of vaccination and a negative COVID test that's taken within 3 days of their flight. The Biden administration is also tightening rules for unvaccinated Americans who are traveling back to the U.S. So they'll have to get tested within a day of starting their trip and again when they get back home.
Well, if you're going to a concert at the Les Schwab Amphitheater in Bend, you can now get a rapid COVID test there. The testing site will be set up outside the venue from noon to 7 for every concert scheduled for the rest of the year. It's free and it's open to everybody, not just people attending a show. Organizers say part of their motivation is to make testing more accessible.
I wasn't even complaining so much, but it was us trying to think, how can we make it the easiest process possible for folks that aren't vaccinated, that still want to come to a show. Instead of trying to go all over town and find a testing site, this is going to make that whole process a lot easier.
The venue requires proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test for everyone 12 and older. To make the process faster, you can sign up for the rapid test on your phone, and you can find a link on the Les Schwab website.
Our next stop this morning on the Sunrise Show is Troutdale, because Troutdale is giving restaurant owners a big incentive to open up their business there. Joe Ranieri tells us more about how this offer works.
Troutdale city leaders are making things a little easier for new restaurants.
Sewer SDCs for restaurants are often very expensive because they use a lot more water.
The city council recently voted to waive 100% of those fees for restaurants, which can cost thousands of dollars to set up.
So we actually just passed a new sewer SDC subsidy program. And the SDCs are system development charges, and they're the fees that new businesses have to pay when they're coming to the city.
The city is taking money from the general fund to offset those costs for new restaurants that are looking to relocate to Troutdale, or for existing restaurants that want to expand in the city.
When COVID hit early 2020, we didn't know how we were going to finish this project. So I think all said and done, it was about $6,000 in subsidies.
Sam Purvis opened up Good Coffee in downtown Troutdale in the middle of the pandemic. He said this program really helped him, which is why he moved his headquarters from Portland to Troutdale.
We've looked at a number of these surrounding areas over the last couple years, whether or not it was for new cafes or for this project that we were looking at, and it's cool to see the different cities kind of get aggressive on recruitment.
Purvis says before he decided on Troutdale, he looked all over our area for what he thought would be the perfect spot to relocate one of his shops.
Every little bit goes a long ways, so you add everything up all together and you get a finished project at the end of the day.
A project the city of Troutdale hopes will lead to more growth.
We see restaurants as a huge economic driver for our community, and our community really would love to see more options.
In Troutdale, Joe Ranieri, KGW News.
One story before we get to Rod, and that is Clark County officials lifting the burn ban on recreational fires. They say this is thanks to the recent rain and cooler weather we've seen. The county's ban on land clearing burns, though, is still in effect. Meanwhile, in Clackamas County, there is still a burn ban in place there, so that serves as a good reminder to check in with your own county, wherever you live, to see if it's safe right now to have recreational fires again.
We also want to talk about wildfires because, Rod, after all the rain we got over the weekend, where do things stand this morning?
Well, I want to make sure we don't forget about this story, Brenda. So, a reminder, these are all active, large wildfires still burning on this map. We still have a cluster up in north central Washington. We still have a big cluster of fires down in the southern Oregon Cascades, north of Medford. And I did some checking. It's not like all these fires show great containment numbers, but they have all, for the most part, in the past couple of weeks, and especially after the weekend rains, showed much slower growth or kind of quieter fire activity overall. But certainly east winds today will start to pick up, and we'll still be getting some smoky areas in the coming weeks until all that completely goes away. Now, the weekend rains, amazing, right? Air quality, I showed you this map yesterday. Most areas are all just back to the good range, so that is terrific news. Okay, we have a clear sky day today. We don't really expect much of any fog, so the coast, the valley, the gorge, central eastern Oregon, everybody's going to be getting sunshine. This band of clouds out to sea will very quickly arrive tomorrow with the weak weather system coming through on the first day of fall. Fall begins tomorrow, local time at 12:21 in the afternoon. Before today, it's going to be all about the sunshine. And with the clear skies, we have freezing temps out in Baker City and Burns this morning. Not that bad here on the west side. We're generally in the 50s to upper 40s at this hour. And look at the forecast highs. So summer going out with a bang, I'll call it, with the warm numbers up into the low 80s. You folks who live out near the Columbia River Gorge, look for easterlies to pick up this afternoon. Some gusts to about 25 miles per hour. 84 in Battleground, Vancouver, and I think Portland has a chance to get up to 84 degrees today. Records are still way up in the 90s this time of the year. Tomorrow, a shower chance with that weak system coming through and a mix of clouds as fall begins, only 73. But look at the warm-up, 88 on Friday. Then we cool back off into the weekend, and we have what could be a quarter of an inch of rain with the system coming next Monday night into Tuesday, and that is your summer/fall forecast.
Absolutely, from one extreme to the other. Rod, thank you much. Oh, and stay tuned because one of your favorite stories is coming up. We're getting back to that 79-year-old Navy veteran. He's an unlikely TikTok sensation, but he and his patriotic scooter are going viral. Coming up this morning, what he did to get 500,000 followers. Then, has President Biden really canceled billions of dollars in student loan debt? Our Verify team looks into the claim after the break.